Hello, Internet, and welcome back to Antiheroes Anonymous, or welcome for the first time if it's your first time joining us. I'm Ethan, and I'm the Dungeon Master for this 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons show. I will have some announcements and a recap for... Someone's laughing at me for something. No? Okay.
No, I did slowly think Kate was laughing at me.
I was laughing at Nick. Don't worry about it.
I'm just constantly laughed at, but it's fine. Anyways, announcements and a recap will be forthcoming, but first we'll do some player introductions. Nick, take it away.
Sure. Hi, I'm Nick. I play Empress of White Ash, the Sunsoul Daxi Monk.
Hi, I'm Kay. I play Lady Elwyn Amelos, who is the Elvish Circle of the Land Druid.
Hello, I'm Melissa, and I play Charm, who is a Breaking Ranger.
Hi, I'm Zach, and I play Bert, the Changeling Armor Artificer.
Thank you, everyone. So those announcements, we premiere our episodes on Mondays at 7 p.m. Pacific time. Throughout the show, we use a variety of custom items and various other things, so be aware of that as you're watching. The character portraits, at this point, were drawn by a variety of artists, so information for that is down in the description. If you need a refresher on anything that's going on in the campaign, we have a campaign wiki at World Anvil, and there's the story so far page on there, which is a good way to get up to date quick. You can check the video description for links and information about everything I just mentioned and more, including some Black Lives Matter and Stop Asian Hate resources. You can also follow us on Twitter at Antiheroes Anon. And other than that, we just hope you enjoy the show, share with your friends, and come back to watch some more. So yeah, let's just dive right in and roll the intro video. And welcome back. Previously, on Antiheroes Anonymous, the Silver Seekers saved the city of Amberhearth from an invasion of giant ants. They are in the process of helping its returning citizens rebuild, and they have been invited to a town council. At the town council, they in fact may end up having a seat and a vote, but it will certainly be a chance for them to meet their new neighbors. The Seekers, however, know that it won't be long after they get settled into their new keep on the edge of town that they will be off again into the Underdark to investigate several matters. The whereabouts of Elwyn's mother, the trail of Snork's master in the League of Terrors, and the latest elemental nexus, which seems to be key to the League's plans. So we are going to pick up there. The group of you had a little bit of time to kind of settle into town as it was starting to rebuild. Elwyn did some helping with the farming. A couple of you went around and helped with the rebuilding. Vert kind of integrated himself in various different personas into various parts of town. And so now we pick up at the tail end of the month of Sun. The very first day of the month of I has come around. And the group of you know that today, later in the afternoon, will be your town council meeting. But before we get straight into that, is there anything that you want to do with your day or to prepare for that? I'll turn things over to you.
I can't think of anything that Embers would want to do to prepare specifically for that charm.
For a town council meeting, can't think of anything Charm would want to do either.
So I can think of one thing is, Do we know where in the keep, like, important documents might be kept and stuff like that? Like archives or like a
I mean, there are
cabinet?
various like
Yes.
bookshelves and things
Yeah.
like that. You searched around and haven't found anything too important in the way of like storage for like valuable documents or anything
Yeah,
like
so
that.
so Vert would want to spend a little bit of time looking into any sort of history with the previous town councils and like what role the previous keep owner played and like what they voted for and how they where they stood, and trying to understand like the position and like what the different movements were with the town for the
Okay.
past couple of years if possible.
Roll an investigation check.
Okay. First roll on the table. D20. This is not a D20.
We're playing on a brand new table.
Technically not the first roll.
Yeah.
That's true.
But it's the first roll.
Ah,
Oh no.
Great roll.
No, that's a terrible roll.
Cursed. Let's get a new table. That's not good. No
Get
one
the
want to help me
bottom
with
one.
this. Can I get help? Help me, please. If not, it's 7.
If you want, Night Mantis will help you
Oh,
kind
thank
of
God.
rifle through things.
I can always count on my sister.
Yep.
Half sister. Alright. Where is my other dice? I don't want my other good dice. Sorry.
We all have all of our dice on the table.
I know. I could just pour them out, I guess. Alright, I'll see this one. Yeah. Oh, that's better. That's a 19.
19. Okay. Yeah. You don't find anything. You don't find like specific minutes for meetings in the keep.
Sure.
And you don't find like a journal or anything like that. But what you do find
This could also be like me talking to people in town as
Okay.
well.
Yeah, that
like
would
when
also
I'm
work.
doing my odd jobs and making
Mhm.
weird personas and stuff like that.
yeah, kind of
If that's
weirdly
easier.
you don't find anything like that in the keep.
Okay.
But going around town and talking to people about Lord Misterlath and like previous things the council voted on and stuff, one of the main things that comes up is kind of how the town dealt with the transition to being ruled by like a free state to joining the empire, right? There were a lot of votes that happened around then to decide various different things, and what you discover is that in all of those, Lord Misterlath voted very like anti-imperial stance.
Okay. Easy for me.
Yeah, he was very against like submitting to the empire in any capacity. You also discover that that was around the time when the rule in the town were like residents of the town don't pay for anything that's a necessity. You get the sense that around that time is when that came up, and you hear from people that it was a council member named Emmeline Foxridge who moved to put that into effect. And it was, I mean, half and half a like effort to, like support the community, and then the other half is like avoiding paying taxes to the empire.
Was
Like
it?
if they're not paying for things, they don't have to.
I see.
Yeah,
Was it Emily or Emmeline?
Emmeline.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Foxwood?
Foxridge.
Foxridge.
Yep.
So
I got half of it.
Yeah.
The other thing you discover
My changeling.
is how Lord Misterlath died.
Uh-huh.
Lord Misterlath had pretty much like the only military forces in town before the Empire took over and the Imperial Wardens came in. But the council at one point voted on, because like the Empire was coming to them, right? And the council at one time voted like, do we submit or do we fight? And they submitted, or they voted, pretty much everyone voted to submit, but Lord Misterlath voted very heavily against that, and he went out with his forces and fought the Empire on a field nearby town, which is now called the Bloodied Swath.
I wondered about that when I saw it on the map.
Yep.
I was like, that's an ominous name.
How far away is
That is
from-
where Lord Mistralath and his forces fought and died.
Okay.
It's not far from town.
If I have time to go and look at it.
Yeah, but everyone in town tells you not to, because it's supposedly haunted. Do with that what you will. You can go look at it still if you want, but everyone tells you not to.
Well, I will. I'm not sure how long would that investigation take me. The greater part of the day, or would it be like? Not the
Yeah, and you
battlefield
could have
stuff,
had
just the-
had some time before the day itself to look into this as well.
Okay.
If you wanted to.
Because I guess it would be come back with the information, kind of explain to who cares, like what that history is, and then also like see if anyone's interested in going seeing the bloody swamp. Like when they're looking in the
No.
battlefield.
Not interested in that.
Yes, Charm will go.
Just the name alone kind of makes me.
Yeah, I understand. So, Charm, I can go. Night Mantis?
Yeah, Night Mantis will go. Also, you guys offered to let Nadia stay in your keep. I don't know if you specified how long. If she's still there
I think-
and she overhears this conversation, she'll volunteer to go.
Sure.
Yeah, I think it was until she gets her shop set up and other living arrangements taken care of. So.
Alright.
Yeah, you go and you find basically a swath of land that clearly used to be farmland, but seems to have been pretty badly desolated during whatever fighting happened here. Like, you can see signs of burned patches of ground and things like that.
Was it? Can I tell, like, the type of like weaponry or magic that might have been used?
You see signs of draconic warfare here. Like, there are
Like dragon?
yeah, places where like a dragon strafed with its breath weapon.
Yeah, okay,
and,
that's kind of what I was wondering.
I mean, even if you just like walk into the field a little bit, you'll like kick helmets that are left there and have now plants growing up over them.
Sure.
You occasionally find like singed bones and things.
Yeah.
I assume you went in the day, right? Not
Yeah,
at night.
not at night.
Okay.
And then, sorry, you said this was like 2 years ago or so, right? Or is it
Probably 4.
4 years? Okay.
Yeah. 4, almost 5.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Yep. It doesn't seem haunted, but you're here in the day, so.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if I had any like specific things. I was just kind of curious on what it looked like, or like, the scale, I guess, of it too. Like how many soldiers.
Yeah, Lord Mistralath probably had a standing army of like 300 to 400 or something like that that he kept. Looks like they were all killed.
Sure.
Pretty much.
Okay. Yeah. So I'll just kind of ponder around with the group a little bit, and then if anyone has a piqued curiosity, we can go and walk around a little bit more. But otherwise, once we're all satisfied, we can come back.
Yeah. Night Mantis doesn't go too far into the field before she like leans down and picks up a helmet and just kind of stands there holding it.
Okay. What kind of help?
But Nadia like walks all around and she's
Yeah,
like,
okay.
investigating stuff and picking stuff up. She grabs like a bunch of bones, saying something about like how the person who runs her shop might be interested in these.
Nadia, don't desecrate a battlefield. What are you doing?
It could be rare ingredients. You don't know. This could be useful.
I'll just
Some
cock my head
spells
and
and
just
enchantments
look
might
at her.
require bones of the dead burned by dragons.
Just give her a look. Just like, really?
She try. Hold on. Roll a perception check.
A perception check. Okay. Wow, really? 10.
Great.
My passive perception's 15. I don't know if that matters.
It doesn't matter in this case because
Okay.
you're looking straight at her. 10 you said?
Yeah. 5 plus 5.
You just see her pocket a couple of them. I also rolled a 10.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just sigh and,
But she was clearly trying to do it, so you didn't see.
yeah, shake my head at her. I'm not gonna stop her.
Okay,
Lazy
yeah, she keeps them.
They're not my bones either. I'm just like, It's kind of weird.
What?
Raised this
Charm
child.
will walk around thinking to herself, what a waste. What a waste of good men.
You probably knew some of the people here.
Yeah, I don't have anything specific.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, that's what you find out.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't see anyone up there. Like, no one is trying to reclaim this farmland. There's no one hanging out around there. It just is desolate. So, yep. Right, anything else?
I did want to just touch base with Bert to see what persona you're trying to go to the council in. What's your... So I know you've been going around and creating all kinds of different disguises for yourself around town, but are you part of the Silver Seekers while you're here too? And what persona is that going to be? Are you going to stick with Rhyme?
I don't know.
I mean, what face you show in this council meeting, especially if you want to participate, it's going to be significant.
That's a good question that I didn't think of. I don't know why I didn't think about that till now. My gut reaction is that I just stay out of it. But I'll be there, but I'll just be a minor.
I know it would be
Roll.
really difficult for you to sit back and not participate, but it's in your blood.
I can, still cast message. So if I need to...
Not discreetly.
And people, it's a whisper, right? Like,
Yeah.
Well, there's like,
There's somatic components and
Yeah.
stuff to it, so
Sure.
it would be obvious you're casting a spell.
I think if he raised a hand to cover his face and did the whisper, it would be
hard to tell, maybe.
hard enough. Let me look at
I'm just
message.
speaking on precedent with
Yeah.
Is there something?
No, you're
You
right.
know,
I mean, that's
campaign one. That was
Mhm.
a problem.
Oh yeah, until you got the message earrings. Then it was okay as long as you could whisper. That's what it was.
Maybe.
I thought you had magic rings.
I have many magic rings.
He's also got the
So
message cantrips.
you whisper a message, the target, and only the target hears the message. But it doesn't stop you from,
Verbal,
like, I know,
somatic,
I know.
and material
I know.
components.
Yeah, it'd be obvious.
It'd be obvious that you're
Okay.
casting a spell. Even if they can't hear you, they can see that you're casting.
Sure.
Night Mantis will.
I mean, I can always just walk up and whisper to you guys too. If I'm standing behind you.
Well, if you're going to be making a spectacle coming up to talk to us, you might as well be part of the group. That's my point.
yeah, are you going to be in your butler persona?
No, I don't think he should be in the butler
Okay.
persona if you're going to participate. That's why I want
Yeah.
to clear this up now. Like, you're welcome to come with us as the butler, but the butler should probably stay in the house.
I agree.
If you want to come as someone else in town and just observe, that's fine too. But like I said, you won't be able to participate.
Yeah, that's true.
And I don't know what capacity we're going to be asked to participate either. But if you're coming as part of the Silver Seekers, you're going to need to have a persona that's the new hire for the Silver Seekers. Especially if we're going to be going out and doing other things.
Just be
Yeah.
Ryan.
Yeah, I'll just go
Ryan
with
was
the
one
season.
of the ones who saved the town.
That's true.
That's true. Yeah, I'll do that.
Night Mantis nods in approval.
Ryan is going to be silent though.
That's fine. I'm happy to do all the talking if that's...
Oh, thank goodness.
I mean, I was raised in the kind of political sphere. I mean, my house was more of a more on the religious side, I guess, spiritual side, rather than anything super political. But I know my way through a council meeting. Been to a few in my time.
Yeah,
So.
we'll
I don't know what you remember from your upbringing.
I don't know if I forgot much, so.
Well, I mean, as far as what you perceived as a child, if you got to even sit in on any meetings.
I think so.
I think we decided you were just starting to try and take on some of those responsibilities,
Yeah,
right?
but I went on trips
Mhm.
and stuff,
Yeah.
so I was able to listen but not really engage very much.
Yeah.
So, and then also parties and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
there was
Yeah,
Child.
I mean, I'm kind of in the same boat. I didn't really participate much, but I was
We'll be
Torben
okay.
messages Embers and says, I'm a saying reason.
Alright.
Well, shall we then?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gets to be about that time, middle of the day. You make your way into town, and stuff is being rebuilt at an astounding rate. The people of Amberhearth, when they put their minds to it, now that they've returned and they're like really getting to it, there are a lot of houses that you had seen that were completely destroyed that have like a framework up now. And some of them are starting to get like new walls and doors and windows and things like that. It's starting to look really good. And you get to the center of town where the big hall is, Hearth Hall, that you've basically fought outside of, I think, but haven't really been inside.
Oh, that's where that was?
Yeah,
Well,
like
I
kind of
was
right in the
hiding out.
center of town.
Or what?
You were hiding out inside of it, I think.
Oh, is that the building I was in?
It was probably one of the buildings near it,
Oh, okay.
but not Hearth
Yeah.
Hall itself.
Well, but one of your personas was volunteering at Carpe,
Yes.
right?
Yeah,
That's true.
I've been
That's
there. Yeah.
It's this
It's everywhere.
it's this big, mostly wooden and stone building. And when you walk in, there's kind of like a big central chamber that has a lot of kind of offshoot chambers and hallways, and it looks like there's a second and maybe even a third floor to it. But the central chamber has this large stone hearth with a single visible streak of amber kind of set into it. And this hearth, you've learned, is pretty much always burning. They try and keep it burning at all times. And there's a lot of people in here. There's some that are just kind of there's like tables and things that are set out. So there's people who are eating. There's people who are like volunteering to like make food or to serve the food. There's people who are you see people going back and forth like delivering fresh laundry and blankets and things like that to the various rooms here. This is one of the main centers where people are staying while their homes are rebuilt. You catch sight of the centaur, Old Phil, kind of barking orders to volunteers. And you make your way to the council chamber, which is sort of at the back of the building on the first floor. And do you guys want to arrive early or just on time or a little bit late? What's the idea?
Really?
Early?
Yeah, I think Embers would arrive early because she's pretty nervous about this.
Okay. You get into... Let's see, who on here would have arrived early? You get into the council chamber, and it's a pretty nondescript chamber. There's like seating set around the outside of the room so that people who want to observe the proceedings can observe them, assuming it's not like a closed council, which they might hold on occasion. But in the center there's a big square table that has I guess a pretty set number of seats around it. 6 around it right now, but it looks like it could fit more if needed. And sitting in one of those seats, let's see, who would be early? You see a young dwarven man. By young, I mean like by dwarven standards, he's probably just at the end of like his first century. And he's wearing kind of like dirty like overalls. He's got short cropped brown hair. Keeps his beard trimmed so that it frames his very square jaw. And he's got, leaning up against the back of his chair, a very well-used stone mining pick. He's got his feet like up on the table, and he's kind of like tossing a piece of coal up and down in the air. Let's see. Anything else about him that I can describe? Nope. And when the group of you walk in. He's pretty much the only one in the room right now, except there's maybe a couple other dwarves that have taken seats around the edges of the room. When you walk in, he kind of looks at the group of you, cocks his head, takes his feet down off the table, and what's everyone's expressions like as they walk into the room?
I think a lot of Embers' hair is standing on end, and her tail is like between her legs.
Elwyn's got a very practiced, polite smile.
Ryan is looking curiously around the room and at like the door and his stuff.
Charm's antennas are going nuts.
In like a excitement
Yeah.
way, or
Just checking everything out.
all right?
Feeling the vibe.
I think Charm, you would have encountered this man before. He's Rurik Shovel-Sharp.
Well, say that again.
Rurik, Rurik, Shovel-Sharp, of the Shovel-Sharp clan. And he sees you come in, and his face brightens up, and he says, "Charm, I hear you saved the town!" And he tosses the coal at you and says, "Catch!"
So Charm will say, "Oh, good to see you, Rick. No, a little bit misinformed. I just hope these fine folk
That's not the way I hear it.
did what little I could.
Do you catch the coal that he throws at you?
Yeah,
With
and I'll
her face.
Dexterity check.
probably try to
Juggle it.
juggle it with all my arms.
See how you do.
Dex. Table.
Is it real bad?
Yeah.
Oh no.
That's 8.
8. You
Farming
catch
it
it
up.
initially, but then you try and
Raising
juggle
it
it a little bit while you're talking, and it clatters to the
Oh.
ground.
Can I make a dexterity check at disadvantage to try and catch it before it?
Don't ask for disadvantage. Maybe he would have given you.
I wouldn't have
normal-
given
What
you
about the
disadvantage.
It's a
missile?
hard thing. It's like a reaction, basically.
Yeah, but you're a monk.
Yeah,
You
you've
don't
got
know
you,
shit.
you can catch missiles out of the air.
Yeah,
You don't have
okay.
to make it a disadvantage.
Don't ask for check it.
I'm thinking like as the DM, I'm like, this is what I would do.
Yeah, but Ethan's nicer than you.
Yeah.
You can catch
He's on the
missiles
XP
without a
one.
check. So
Yeah. That's a dexterity. Oh, okay, that's 27.
27. Yeah, you snatch it before
Table
it hits the
loves
ground.
Mm-hmm.
Loves dexterity checks.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I guess-
not dexterity checks.
I guess it was only 24.
Still
Yeah.
pretty good. Yeah, you managed to snatch it.
Okay.
He's looking for it.
Whoa.
Hey, that's a nice catch.
Slick.
Thanks. Do you want this back? Do you want this?
I've got more. And he like reaches into a bag that's at his side and pulls out a different one and starts tossing it up in the air. He kind of surveys the group of you and says, "So I take it that means you're the Silver Seekers, huh?"
Yes, we are. And
Well,
who might we be in the pleasure of speaking to?
oh, my goodness. I'm Rurik Shovel-Sharp, and I'm the leader of the Miners Guild. Why his voice is going this direction, but it is. We're just gonna roll with it. Leader of the Miners Guild here in Amberhearth.
Well, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, likewise. And he's just got a big grin on his face. Seems kind of like a jolly fellow. You know, I heard that the group of you are inheriting Lord Mistralath's keep.
You heard correctly.
I saw on the agenda we're taking a vote on whether the group of you get a vote in the council proceedings. So maybe you'll have a chair up here at this table pretty soon.
It would be an honor.
I like you.
The feeling is mutual.
Yeah, he just kind of smiles at the group of you.
So, if you're the leader of the Miners Guild, then you work in the mines that are nearby?
That's right.
What sorts of things do you uncover down there?
Well, you know, metals, coal, rock salt, clay, a little bit of amber. Most of it's gone these days, but there's still some now and again.
Has the wind been giving you much trouble down there?
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm gonna bring it up in the proceedings, but the winds, they collapsed a bunch of the tunnels, especially the ones that we use as trade routes. Not good.
I can imagine that would be very problematic for you.
Yeah, we're working on it. Not as many miners here in town as there used to be. A lot of my clan packed up and left when the amber started to dry up, but we're doing our best.
Well, we'll see what comes out of the meeting, but we might be able to help you out with some of that.
Well, that'd be greatly appreciated. I heard you've done some good things for the farmers, so.
Well, just a little bit here and there.
He nods. And at that point, he looks like he's about to say something, but someone else arrives. Let me see who would be next.
Oh, it's like the irrigation guild or whatever was going on his pillar.
I'm curious about that.
Irrigation.
Yeah, she was playing on the speaker, so I could
Also,
listen.
Let's see.
Don't summon another water fire elemental in it.
Alright.
I think Lally probably comes in, and there's not really a seat for her at the table.
Oh.
But she kind of like bends her knees and she can get down to table level by like bending her knees. So she kind of greets all of you.
I'll greet her and do a little small clap.
She meets Ryan for the first time. Is just overjoyed to meet you. Elwyn, if you go to greet her, like if you initiate that, she goes for like a hug.
Yeah, I'll give her a hug.
Okay, yeah. She gets
Well, I
her a
feel like
big
we've probably
hug.
got to know each other
That's true.
over the
Working on
past
farms.
week or so because I've been helping her out and stuff. So just check in, do the small talk stuff. How's your family? How's things going at the farm? How's the crops? Blah blah blah.
Just delightful. Ever since you did all that work up there, casting those fancy spells of yours, the crops are growing in right quick.
I'm really glad to hear it.
Um,
You don't hesitate to ask me if you need anything else up there. More
Well,
than happy to help.
there are a couple other farms that still need. They don't need it, but they. I think they'd enjoy a little bit of benefit from your magic as well.
Of course, of course.
We can talk about that later, though. See, you met Rurik here. He's right kind, so. Yeah, and she also will try and give Charm a hug as well, if Charm will allow it.
Or cats.
This one's a real great hugger. Extra arms.
Someone here knows that better than most.
That's right.
Yeah, I think when you say that, Ellen will just look at Embers and be like, yeah, yeah, we know.
I almost forgot that happened.
Mm-hmm.
While Lally is kind of
Wink.
gushing and hugging the rest of you, two people come in, not together, but similar times. One of them is, and this one is attended by, she is dressed in like Imperial Warden's garb, and she is attended by a couple lower ranking Imperial Wardens who kind of take seats on the outer edge.
Sorry, did you mention what she looked like?
Not yet, I'm getting to it.
Sorry.
She's a tough looking halfling woman with kind of rosy white skin and curly shoulder length red hair, which she has actually probably right now tied back into a kind of a ponytail type thing. She's got green eyes and freckles that kind of splash across just her round nose, and also her cheeks a little bit. But like despite all of that, you can see that she's got like tough hands and like she's very well muscled, but she only stands at like about 3 or 4 feet tall. She comes in and she doesn't really talk to anyone, but she strides up to the table and takes a seat at the table and just kind of sits there surveying the room, while her wardens take seats in the various onlooker chairs. And the other person who comes in engages with the group of you a lot more. Well, I shouldn't say a lot more, but at least a little bit more. He's still pretty reserved. He's a drow man. I say man, but pronouns he, they, so either one acceptable. And this individual has kind of straight combed up white hair, which has its tips dyed black, and they have a kind of trendy white beard with lilac eyes. And when he comes in, he's wearing a pair of like dark lensed glasses, but he takes those off as he steps into the council chamber. And then they're dressed in like a lilac suit and wearing like a number of color coordinated rings on the fingers. The other detail is he has kind of like a walking cane that is topped with an amethyst jewel. And yeah, he comes in and he kind of stands in the doorway with hands on the top of the cane, surveying the group of you, and kind of gives a nod to everyone that he recognizes in the room, like Lally and Rurik. And then comes up to whichever one of you is looking, I guess, the most socially forward at the moment. Is that Elwyn?
Everyone points
Everyone
to me.
points to me.
I mean, if I'm wrapping up the conversation,
Yeah.
whatever.
Comes up and says, Valeris Duoth. Sorry, not Valeris. Valreus. Valreus Duoth.
Reyes do off.
If my information is correct, I take it to you that you are Lady Elwyn Amelos.
I am. Pleased to meet you.
Likewise. I, as I'm sure you will find out soon, am the leader of the Merchants and Traders Guild here in the city. And he has kind of like a quiet tone to his voice, like very reserved in posture as well. That's pretty much all he says, but he does brief introductions.
Pleased to make your acquaintance.
He nods. And if anyone else comes up, he will give like a handshake and a quick introduction, but that's pretty much it before he takes his seat. And then the last council members arrive. There's two more. They arrive together. One of them is pushing the other in a wheelchair. An elderly dragonborn man, green dragonborn with kind of a long and narrow snout, dressed in religious robes. Specifically, there's iconography of like suns and like agriculture and things like that on the robes. Looks to be some sort of cleric of Palor. He has his scales have kind of dulled, and some of them have like white spots on them, which is not like uncommon for Dragonborn who get really old. But also like his sight seems to have gone because he has like a yellow band tied across his eyes that has a white sun symbol over where each of the eyes would be. But somehow he has the senses to be able to like push the person who he is guiding in a wheelchair in front of him. And the woman in the wheelchair looks to be human, similarly aged. She has kind of wrinkled light brown skin, and she's shaved her head bald. She has a lot of jewelry and necklaces, mostly like gold with like red jewels and things like that. But her clothing otherwise is just kind of plain, sharp but plain. Like I imagine kind of like a nice collared shirt with like I don't want to say robe, but like a long sweater, if that makes sense. Like the sweater kind of goes down to her knees, maybe a little bit beyond, but it's a sweater.
She's human?
Yes.
Okay.
And she's in a wheelchair with a cane across her lap that has a golden fox on the head. And when the Dragonborn man gets close to the council table, she kind of shakily pulls herself up from the chair and walks the rest of the way with the cane. And the Dragonborn man also takes a seat, and he lets out a bit of a sigh of relief as he sits down. and Lally comes over and says, "Now that's Heskan. Hold on, Heskan Kimbatul, the Dragonborn man over there, and the woman there is Emmeline Foxridge. Both important members of the council. Heskan usually takes notes for us, doesn't say too much. Talking's a little bit tiresome for him these days, I think. But he just keeps going, so power to him. And Emmeline over there, she's the matron of the Foxridge family. Very, very rich. I guess you could say the closest thing Amberhearth has to nobility. Very, very old money. Kind of responsible for bringing this town a lot of the wealth that it's seen in the past, several years. So, very important family, the Foxridges. And that is pretty much everyone. So, the people begin to kind of take their seats at the table to do. What do the group of you do?
Is there a place that was set for us to sit specifically, or did they just invite us to observe?
You were invited to join, but it doesn't look like there's a place set aside specifically for
There's
you.
no place at the table for us.
Not yet, anyways.
Yeah.
Okay,
They
well,
did say they were gonna put.
yeah, then I would just look around at the rest of you and be like, all right, let's go indicate some of the seats that are along the side of the room.
Okay. Yeah, we'll sit in the gallery, like close to the table.
Yeah.
There's some seats open that are still pretty close to the table. So,
Don't want to sit by.
We don't have to sit by the wardens.
there's plenty of space away.
Okay.
They all group together. So.
Can you please spell Heskon's last name?
Oh yeah, Heskan is Heskan, and then Kimbatul is Kimbatul.
Taul.
Tuul.
Taul.
Yep, Kimbatul. Whew, there's a lot of introductions.
How about Valrayas Duoth's name?
Yes, Valrayass DU''OTH.
Oh, it's pretty close.
Duoth. Oh, and Lally would have given you a short introduction of the Imperial Warden woman as well.
Yes, please.
Because I just realized we skipped over that.
Yeah.
That's Lavinia Cherry Cheeks.
Cherry cheeks?
She does not like going by Cherry Cheeks, let me tell you. I think it's cute. She's the Warden Commander here in Amberhearth. There was a little bit of a we'll call it a drama, when she and her Imperial Wardens first came to town. Wanted a spot on the council, wanted a little bit more control than we were willing to give. I think we struck a good balance now.
It's good on you for trying to make things work, given the circumstances.
Well, when she first arrived, I don't think that she wanted to be here very much. I don't think this was the assignment she would have preferred, but she's come around. She's come around, and I think we've made it work.
Well, that's great. Lally, we really do appreciate all these introductions. Thank you so much.
Oh yeah, of course. It's just a lot to meet a lot of new people. I understand. So, yeah, she gives you those introductions. Everyone takes their seats, and then it's Emmeline Foxridge who calls the meeting to order. I can't remember my voice for her. When she opens her mouth to speak, she has kind of like a husky, breathy voice. And she says, "Right then, let's get down to business." And everyone pretty much goes quiet as she talks, even though like it wasn't a very loud comment. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone for coming today. And she kind of looks around at the gathered observers. She kind of nods to each of you. This will be the first reconvening of the community council since we evacuated the town, and I'm pleased to see that the reconstruction efforts are going well. And she kind of takes a time to like nod in appreciation towards specific members in the gathered audience who have been like central in the rebuilding efforts. But first and foremost, we have to offer our thanks and our gratitude, of course, to Charm and her friends, the Silver Seekers, who seem to have driven the ants out and allowed for all of us to return. And she kind of motions for the group of you to stand, if you would.
Yeah, we do. One will do like a little bow, head nod, gracious.
I think that they would go around and do like a quick round of introductions to you, though you've already met some of them. Just like a brief, hello, I'm this person, this is what I'm responsible for, that sort of thing. And then it comes around to basically your turn to introduce yourselves.
Well, it is a pleasure to be here. I'm Lady Alen'dal, heir to House Amelos, Minister of the Faith, and Shepherd of the Tundra. You may call me Lady Elwyn.
You can see that Hescon is taking notes somehow.
Yeah, somehow. And this is Ambers of White Ash.
Hi.
And Ryan. We've come a long way to be here. We've inherited the keep up on the hill, and we're just happy to become part of this community and help out as much as we can. Thank you again very much for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here.
She nods, and Lally starts a round of applause. And Rurik actually stands up.
I reach and grab Ember's hand because I see her touching up. And I just pull her hand. And I pet your hand a little bit. It's like, okay. It's okay.
Rurik stands up when the applause starts and does a standing ovation, and several people around the room join him. Not everyone. Hescon remains seating. Emmeline remains seated.
I bet Lily takes every chance she gets to stand up.
Yep. And then she has to do the awkward
Yeah.
On the sly.
I'm trying to decide. Would Lavinia stand up? Yeah, she'd stand up towards the end of the standing ovation. She was clapping the whole time. She only stands up sort of towards the end. Emmeline then kind of motions you can be seated again. And she turns her eyes to the rest of the council and she says, I would of course like to move that we do something to thank this brave group of individuals for what they did to rescue our little city. And Rurik chimes in and says, well, I don't know what much we could do, considering funds are a little bit stretched tight with the rebuilding. And there's a little bit of discussion back and forth about what they could do to thank you before Lally finally says, well, why don't we just ask them? And all of the eyes kind of turn towards you, and Emmeline says, well, I suppose that's one way to do it. Is there anything that you as a group would particularly benefit from that the town could do to thank you?
Well, welcome, thanks enough, I would imagine.
Embers leans over to Elwyn and just whispers in her ear, should we talk about malt and that whole thing? There's a tavern.
Yeah, we could ask for that. Yeah. Well, we may have an idea if there is a building in town somewhere that is needing of a new establishment. We might have some connections in Port Horizon Shroud. A friend of ours wants to open up a tavern up here. So if you could help us get that started, that would be a good place to start.
The entire council listens as you say that, and I'm just trying to find something in my note here. Emmeline turns to Valreus and says, Mr. Duath, do you happen to know if Lewis Windsor has returned to town? And Valreus kind of thinks for a second and then shakes his head, and then Lally gets this dark expression in her face and she says, we actually found Lewis's body It seems he was either killed when the ants came out, or during the evacuation, but he didn't make it. And Emmeline kind of like laces her fingers and like rests her head on her hands and kind of closes her eyes, and then says, opens them and then addresses the group of you. Well, our little city has a few inns and taverns, but our biggest one was run by a man named Lewis Windsor, who it seems is no longer with us, which means there is at least one establishment that is open. Lewis ran the deep dive here in town. Do you think that would be suitable for your needs?
I dare say it would be. We'd like to see it, if that's all right.
Oh, I've seen it. Sorry. I've seen it, like, whispering.
Just whisper into the microphone.
Yeah. I've been helping him build it. It's pretty good.
It's good? All right. Then yes, that would be very generous of you.
Excellent. Well then, I will see what we can do. Lewis didn't have any real family, so it shouldn't be a problem to transfer the deed to you. Or your friend, as it were.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much.
She like leans over and whispers something to Hescon, and he makes a quick note of it in the minutes for the meeting. And then she goes to continue, but then Lally chimes in and she's like, but that's really just a gift for their friend and not really a gift for them. There must be something else we can do. I mean, what if we had a festival in their honor when the town was rebuilt?
Piper's just like, is cringing.
I'm just like, still like very, very quietly stroking your arm. Like, it's okay.
Well, Emmeline kind of looks to Elwyn, since Elwyn's doing most of the speaking, for like confirmation on how that would be received.
Oh, that would be too kind. That is not necessary. You don't have to go to all that trouble. Saving the town was helping us just as much as it's helping y'all since we're moving in here. Please, don't trouble yourself on our behalf.
Okay. You can see Hescon notes that in the ledger, and Emmeline once again goes to move on, but Lally butts in and says, but we might as well have a festival once the town is rebuilt. Like, that much is a good idea, right? Yeah, they end up taking a vote on whether or not to have a festival. It won't be in your honor, but the vote does pass. They decide to have a festival to celebrate the rebuilding of the town once it's pretty complete.
Yeah, that's a great idea to have a festival.
Yeah.
I do like festivals.
Right.
As long as they're not in your honor.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Well, we can negotiate details for the festival later. Of course, the Foxridge family will be providing libations. But we can discuss details later. And so the meeting progresses. What's up next? I have an agenda. Let me find out. The Silver Seekers have been welcomed. It turns next to what it seems they decided is the most pressing matter, which is whether or not the group of you with the keep inherit Mistralath's vote on the council. So they take there's a little bit of discussion back and forth on that, with various council members kind of weighing in. And they take a vote, and let's see, Emmeline votes yes, Lavinia votes no, Lally votes yes, Valreus votes yes, Rurik votes yes, and Hescon votes no. But it passes, and basically the stipulation is that you get a vote on the council, but you get it as a group.
So Hescon and the Imperial Warden for
For the two who
Okay.
voted no.
Yeah, I'm making note of that too.
yeah, I was like, okay, who doesn't like us?
Yeah, and when Hescon speaks, it'd probably be like the first time you actually heard him speak. He sounds like very tired. Like he's got that like really tired, really old man voice. Like, I'm going to vote no. So he doesn't really talk much. but with 2 to 4, you pass. Emmeline seems thrilled to have you in that. The council will now have a deciding vote in ties because it was 6 before. So, and at that, chairs are brought to the table if you want them.
Yeah.
Do you want to sit as a group or like intersperse yourself between council members?
I'm gonna stand behind Ellen's chair. I don't really like chairs. Don't sit.
That works. I mean, you're technically my bodyguard anyway. That's fine. Yep.
I'll sit next to Ellen.
to the table.
Includes you too, Charm.
Yeah.
You want to sit, or do you want to?
So honored. Can't believe it. Shaking.
Come have a seat, Charm.
Yep. Emmeline will like pull out a chair next to her if you want it.
Okay, I'll sit. Tapping my fingers restlessly on the table.
Okay. And then the topics quickly move on to the pressing one, which is rebuilding the city. We don't have to get into details about it, but like Lally starts to note that you've been incredibly helpful with the farms, getting things growing again. And she says, now thanks to Lady Amelos over here, this year's harvest is on track to be, I think, one of our largest on record, which is saying something considering we missed a whole month and a lot was eaten and destroyed by those ants. So, the harvest should be pretty great this year, I think. And everyone kind of, seems happy about that. The people in the crowd applaud Elwyn's efforts. Rurik reports what he already said, which is that several tunnels have collapsed, including many that were used as established trade routes. And at this, you see Valreus kind of nodding along with the report. And at the end of Rurik's report, he chimes in that he will say, now, I haven't received any word from our trade partners down in Erudition since returning to the city. So it is possible that the ants or the winds or some combination thereof have negatively impacted them as well, or perhaps they just haven't found a new trade route. In any case, it's a bit concerning to me that our partners down in Erudition might be experiencing trouble. And they kind of leave their report at that. Lavinia takes a turn to report that the Imperial Wardens need to recruit. And she basically says, yeah, now, as many of you know, a lot of my wardens were injured severely, or killed, or took positions elsewhere. After the evacuation. And so our numbers are, at the moment, greatly reduced. We need to recruit. We need to find some new members, preferably people here in Amberhearth. I think that would further help integrate the Imperial Wardens into the town, so it would no longer be seen as an outside force, but partners and collaborators. It is especially vital that I find a new captain. As you know, that my second in command was one of those who died in the evacuation. This recruitment will be vital because during this rebuilding, the Clouder is sure to do their best to profit off of the confusion at the expense of our people. And she kind of, she leaves it at that, but Lally kind of leans over to whoever's next to her. Who would have sat next to Lally?
Probably me, but...
Yeah, if you are on one side of me and Charm is on the other.
Well, Charm is next to...
Or did Charm go over?
Well, Charm could have sat next to Emily.
I mean, it could
and
be
still been
Emily,
next to the group. Yeah.
and then Charm, and then
okay.
me, and then you, and then...
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, Lally leans over as proceedings kind of go on, and she says, now you might not have heard about this, but the Clouder, let me find my notes on them. Just want to make sure I don't get anything wrong as I'm introducing a million things. Okay, here we go. they're a gang of thieves and smugglers and cutthroats and scoundrels and all those bad types of nouns that have kind of sprang up here in the past, I don't know, 20, 30 years or so. Maybe even before that. I'm not really sure, but they've kind of expanded to surrounding cities recently. But they originated here. They're kind of our biggest source of lawlessness, you might say. They've clashed with the Imperial Wardens ever since they kind of came to town, but they clashed with us before, so nothing new there. And that's the explanation she gives.
Thanks for the explanation.
CLOWD.
Have you heard of the planet before? Right? I'm not asking so loud. I'm just curious. This is something
in some of your persona creation, maybe a little bit, like vague references to them causing trouble.
Like, were they causing trouble before the Empire took over?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That's what I mean. So would this be something that you would have heard about?
But was it in my region, or was it? Yeah, it was only local.
They originated in Amberhearth and have spread outward.
Yeah.
But they're not as far-reaching as Wagner.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't have heard, say, your uncle talking about it with your dad.
No, I don't think so.
Because, especially back.
No.
Yeah, they'd still be kind of local to this area.
It's the only thing that we might. No, I mean, not even that. I don't know. Unless I don't know how far on land we would have traveled, or how far under, what the routes would be if the routes were overland in Amberhearth, near Amberhearth.
I don't think you would have heard of them.
I don't think so either.
I was gonna say Embers wouldn't have heard of them because they kind of like rose to more prominence during her time in jail. But maybe she met some of them who were jailed.
Oh, that's possible.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say probably not,
okay.
Because this state only joined the Empire 5 years ago, so they are older than that. But like,
they wouldn't.
The penitentiary was an imperial prison,
right? That makes
so
sense.
yeah, I don't think you would have met anyone.
Oh,
okay.
And they weren't really a thing when you were first in this town.
Definitely.
So, yeah. The Clowder. CLOWDER. Let's see, where was I in the agenda?
Lavinia is recruiting.
Right.
New persona, Imperial Warden Captain.
You could.
I mean, I was thinking about Torin, but...
Did Torin come to the meeting?
Just got Torin.
I know.
Did Torin come to the meeting?
I think it's up to him, to be honest.
Would he have wanted to come?
Probably would have come.
Yeah.
If invited.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's his reaction to the
I
Imperial
think
Warden?
Night Mantis would have stayed out, but
Sure.
Torin probably would have come. And Nadia is here because she says she wants to give a presentation.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Oh boy.
I hope Harmony makes a surprise appearance.
So Torin is here, and at the mention of like recruiting for a captain, Torin does kind of like look to Embers.
Embers just shakes her head.
And he just nods.
Oh.
Okay, right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And he kind of looks again, like.
So Torin.
Because Charm would be interested in it too. And
Yeah.
so I'll send a message to Embers. What's up? You don't like wardens? What's up?
I can respond to that, right?
It's telepathic.
Yeah, you just get that. You can do so much better than that, Charm. You're a secret, not a woman.
Okay. That sounds like fun. I could do that.
I'll talk to you about this later.
When you tune back into the conversation, Hescon is talking, and he's thanking Elwyn for helping get the harvest back on track. You get the sense that his church here, which you've come to gather, is Cultivation's Altar, is the name of the temple. Is devoted to specifically the like harvest and agriculture aspect of the god Pelor. And he says, "No, the altar was hardly damaged, and I am, of course, willing to offer it as additional housing for returning citizens while they rebuild their homes. And naturally, if any need prayers of healing or um, remedies for disease, I and my clerics will be happy to address those issues. So please have them find me. I will most likely be either at Cultivation's altar or here at Hearth Hall for the foreseeable future, as I intend to spend most of my time using the magic granted to me in aid of the rebuilding. And then that's the most he's said this entire time, and he goes back to being quiet after that. Emmeline then takes the conversation back and says, I gotta get her voice again. Now, no, yes, there we go.
Now,
Deep,
yes.
husky and breathy. Very good. I found it. I recently received a letter from the Silvered Seneschal of the Argent Athenaeum, one Adrex Estir, who apparently hopes to set up an imperial repository, a sister library, so to speak. Apparently this is a favor to our, very quickly becoming a central part of our discussions, adventuring group, the Silver Seekers. A representative should be arriving in the next few days. Now, personally, I don't see any reason that a library in town could be to our detriment, so I don't think we need to take a vote, but if anyone objects, and she gives an opportunity for people to object, but no one does, so. It comes to the part of the meeting where it looks like most of the agenda has been taken care of, and Nadia stands up and kind of makes eye contact with a group of you, basically looking for her in to give her presentation.
Well, if you don't mind, we do have a friend who prepared a little something of a presentation, I think she called it. If that's...
She's already, like, walking forward to take the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's dressed in, like, she dressed up a little bit, you know? Yeah. She's, she looks very sharp. She's got, like, a pair of, like, non-prescription glasses on for this. And she walks over to sort of the center of the room, and she turns to address the community council, and she says, "Gathered council members, my name is Nadia Aveline. Yes, that Nadia Aveline. And I was just hoping to give a quick presentation on a venture I would like to launch in your city as it is currently rebuilding." And she reaches into the little satchel at her side and pulls out a full-size painting easel, which she then sets up, and then pulls out like 10 or so charts, which she sets up on the easel, like full-size poster board charts, and just launches into this presentation about the benefits of having a branch of Harmony's Wild Magics in town. She lists things like, we've seen that, you know, through research, market research in various towns that we've set up our branches in, we've seen increases in tourism. We've seen a rise in the economy. And this is especially key for a place like Amberhearth. She flicks the chart. And she like reaches into the bag and she pulls out like a full-length pointer. She takes a step back and points at it. You can see that your population is right on the verge of town and city. Now, our involvement in your town could be just what your economy needs to, you know, bump it just up, right over the edge of, you know, town and city. And she kind of goes into all the benefits of that. Talks about the sorts of things that they can offer. And you can see that people kind of in the audience, like they get interested at the sound of like the potions that can be produced and things like that. And yeah, it comes time for a vote after her presentation, which goes on for about like 15 minutes. Just like flipping through all these charts, and the charts are, she's got like pie charts, she's got bar graphs. Yep, she kind of, the pointer, she collapses. It was a collapsible pointer. She puts it back in the bag. Concludes her presentation, and the vote is taken. how do you guys vote?
Of course, the Silver Seekers will vote yes. Absolutely yes.
I think Emmeline votes yes, for sure. Lally votes yes, because all of that sounded great. Lavinia votes yes. Just trying to find my council members. Valreus votes no.
That's surprising.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Rurik votes yes, I think. And Hescon votes no. But it passes.
I
And
was also eating fingers.
Nadia does like a little like fist bump thing.
Yeah.
And kind of like gives all of you a thumbs up. And then takes a seat, but yeah, basically mentions that she'll go through the proper procedures for like purchasing land and all of that. And then just, takes a seat, and the final item that wasn't on the agenda, Emmeline, as things are starting to close, Emmeline stands and she says, "Now, this has been a trying year for most of us, I know. Personally, I find that I am struggling to keep up with everything that is going on in town, and I've come to recognize the effects of my own age, and I will be retiring by the end of the year. Now, I don't want to leave the council before the city is back on its feet, but I'm going to start putting my affairs in order, and I wanted to make it known to all of you that I will be choosing a replacement from my family to take my representative seat on this council." And that's kind of met with shock throughout the room, naturally. But council members kind of nod, they accept that, they congratulate her on her...
Embers foolishly raises her hand.
Yep, okay. The room kind of goes quiet.
Pardon, I don't need to speak out of turn, I know I'm new here.
No, please, by all means.
She's doing something stupid. You just get to name a council seat? We had to get... there won't be a vote?
Lally will chirp up and will say, "Well, yeah, traditionally, the members of the guilds and the Foxridge family, and I guess that's most of the council, barring the Imperial Wardens. Oh, and Cultivation's Altar. Now, traditionally, they've all been able to internally elect a representative and send them to the council. Your case, I think, was a little bit special because it was more a matter of property ownership.
Yeah, we didn't inherit our council seat from...
Tradition. I think Lord Mistralath would have been able to name an heir if he had one, but no children or anything like that, and none of us have seen any sign of a will, so...
I see. So usually, the way things go is the church would nominate someone to the council themselves, and then that would be the church's representative. And then the farmers... Oh, okay, I see how it all works.
Right. So each of the individual groups represented at the council gets to nominate their person, and then that person has the seat on the council. So it's I think within the Foxridge family's right, and Emmeline as the matron of the family to decide how that goes.
Right.
No, of course. We're happy to get you up to speed. And yeah, Emmeline kind of nods along with that.
So I was waiting for a good time. I also wanted to roll an insight check on Valreus when he was listening to Nadia's speech.
Okay, yep. Roll that insight check.
Okay. Because I am very confused at why he voted no. I expected him to be like a surefire yes, and he voted no. And I'm like, what the heck? Yeah, insight. Okay, let's do this one.
I can guess, but you know.
Oh my god, this table hates me. Well,
Me too so far.
I would also like just to generic insight check on everyone, just to kind of check, especially maybe this is too far back retconning, but
no, it's okay. We can go back.
especially
I
when
didn't
we
give you
were-
much opportunity, so.
when we were being introduced and when we were being voted into the council, just a blanket check on the whole room to look for people who seemed especially dissatisfied by the situation.
Okay. Yeah, you can do that. Roll an insight check.
It's my new die.
What was it you got, Bert?
An 11.
Oh,
An
jeez.
11?
That's not a good roll either, but I'm good at insight.
It looked like when she was giving the presentation, he was kind of considering it deeply,
Okay.
but he definitely had a bit of a frown on his face during. The origins of that frown,
Yeah.
you can't really discern, but something about her presentation and the whole endeavor didn't sit well with him.
I want to like ask questions, but I only got an 11. So,
You know what?
I mean, you could
we'll
ask
have
questions
plenty
of
of
him.
time to talk to him
Yeah.
later.
yeah, I guess like if I could just inquire one thing, like was it like right when she pointed out like it's a branch from Freyden or something?
No,
like, it was like
it was throughout sort of the entire
the
thing.
whole thing. Okay, so that's all I want. Okay.
My check was a 16.
Okay. Just a second. Okay. So just remind me specifically, it was
So
when
just
you were being introduced.
when we were being introduced and when we were being voted onto the council.
Okay.
More specifically, the second one. To see.
Looking around the room, there's from pretty much like I can't think of anyone in the room who you wouldn't see this to some extent. There's a lot of like gratefulness and gratitude you can see in the attitudes towards you. There's a lot of interest in the group of you. There's in some faces you see a little bit of hesitation maybe, but you don't see any signs of like outright hostility or anyone who seemed like terribly upset about the result. Like even those who voted no didn't seem terribly upset about the way that the vote went or anything like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know.
There's for the most part, it's like gratefulness, gratitude, and welcome that you feel.
Good to know. Good to know.
I could change that.
Don't
No?
even think about it.
Okay.
Scared ear noises.
Your ear noises. Ooh, 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 ooh.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Yeah.
We woo.
Be on your best behavior, Embers.
Yeah, with that, Emmeline kind of draws the council to a close, but it looks like people are probably going to congregate and chat for a little bit. Like, people stand up to talk, but nobody really moves to leave initially. So I will turn things over to you.
I do think Embers wants to go talk to. God, I do and I don't. Talk to Hescon.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to talk to him, but I really don't want to make him talk. If you know.
Yeah, maybe, I mean, he could maybe communicate by nods and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, just ask. Say, you just go up and say like, "Hey, I didn't really get to introduce myself beyond my name. My name is Embers Whiteash. I said that already. Sorry, I'm sorry.
He's just kind of nodding as you blunder.
Right. You can see, and she like holds up her arms like, these are Pelor symbols.
I actually can't see.
Oh right. I'm sorry. I keep doing this. I'm sorry.
No, it's quite fine. I get along just fine without my sight, but
Uh-huh.
I cannot, in fact, see.
Right.
He kind of chuckles. You don't seem to offend him.
Okay. I'm a tall woman. I'm a tabaxi. I look great. I'm wearing really.
You say I look great.
I said I'm wearing really nice clothes.
I love this. This is my favorite.
Also, I'm a monk. Sorry, that was a lie. I'm not wearing nice clothes. I'm wearing. I'm poor. Anyway, I'm religious. Do you know anything about Niflheim?
He was like chuckling through all of that. Religious, you say?
Mm-hmm.
I do know some about Newsomny, not as much as others, perhaps, but Hmm. I have I have met some followers of that faith, and it seems a good one.
Well, I did my share of helping out around the Temple of Baylor, in Port Horizon Chapter. If you ever need baking, I know how to do that now.
Most of my baking needs are seen to
Of course.
by the younger clerics,
Uh-huh.
but I know that old Phil is always looking for volunteers to help in the kitchens here at Hearth Hall. Our church does quite a bit of outreach here, with the poor souls who have nowhere else to stay. So,
Of course.
if you're interested, you'd be welcome to join.
Great. Thanks for talking to me. Sorry, bye.
Goodbye. It was a pleasure to meet you. Yeah,
That's incredible.
he doesn't say a lot when he talks. Definitely seems tired after the conversation, but like he seemed to enjoy the conversation.
Can we
so.
give Ember's inspiration?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you
Yeah,
inspiration.
take inspiration.
That was the rule we made, wasn't
That's
it?
great. Yeah,
Brilliant.
you deserve it. I look nice.
That's a lie. I'm very poor.
That's really funny.
I rolled an insight check for him and it was a 3, so you could have gotten away with it.
Oh my
I think
goodness.
she immediately felt ashamed of mine.
To an holy man.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you see these symbols? Actually, that was
I know that whole exchange is really fun.
Some of my favorite parts of Avatar: The Last Airbender are when like Toph is making blind jokes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay. I would like to talk to Valerius.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna join this conversation.
Ah, Lady Elwyn Amelos.
Yes.
Welcome to the council, I should say.
Thank you.
Congratulations on the boat in.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your help.
Congratulations to you too as well, Miss Rhyme.
No.
I was rather curious about your mention of the trade routes with erudition. I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit more about the relationship Amberhearth has with them, how it's been going.
Let me pull up section on Valerius. Yeah, they let's see. Like as before, they have kind of like a reserved, quiet demeanor, so like they think about their answer before they speak, really. But he ends up saying, well, you may have guessed, I'm from there originally. And we do a lot of trading with a lot of different groups around this area. Erudition and the people there being only one of them. We also trade with the Centaurs, the Rovian Centaur tribes, as well as surrounding villages, and we're beginning to expand into other parts of the Empire as well. With Erudition specifically, we've got a pretty good relationship. We tend to... I just like that the dogs are snoring.
Very
Very full belly.
From the pod that drips every once in a while.
I have notes somewhere in here about the sorts of things that they trade with each of these people. There we go, found it. Okay. With erudition, we tend to trade in things like medicines and pesticides. They're very good with that sort of thing, and we constantly need the pesticides for our crops. They, of course, benefit from crops that we can grow over on the surface that they can't grow down below, as well as various livestock and other, specifically wooden materials. Wood seems to be kind of hard to come by down there.
I see. And how long has this relationship been benefiting both the towns? Is it a long relationship or is it relatively new?
Yeah, he nods and says, "Well, as long as I've been around, certainly. The dwarves of the Shovel Sharp clan dug their mine. When they first did that, they hit upon tunnels of the Underdark, and they sent explorers down there, encountered groups of my people from Erudition, and I think we've been trading pretty much ever since, so quite a while. A couple 100 years.
Do you know if all the trade routes got caved in the disaster, or are there any remaining still?
I've been working with Rurik to try and launch expeditions to find if any trade routes have been, well, if they survived, but all of the ones we've tried so far have seemed to, and we've encountered a collapse at one point or another. There are still plenty of tunnels that branch down that direction.
Yes, the established routes.
The established routes are, yes, a little bit not reliable at the moment. Yeah, he, after kind of a brief silence, he says, "Pardon me if this is an assumption, but would it be safe to say that you might intend to visit Erudition sometime?"
Yes, actually, we were planning a trip down there. We wanted to investigate the source of the wind as well. See if we could put a stop to it, seeing as it's causing so much trouble still.
Yeah, they kind of brighten up a little bit at that and say, "Well, if you're already heading that direction, I could probably work with Rurik to procure some funds. If you were to chart a map, maybe a new course, anything you can find."
Right. We worked with the ants to
Yeah, they look perplexed at that.
a little
Work
bit.
with the ants?
Negotiated.
We negotiated with the ants to learn of a pathway down. We think we know how to get at least down to the source of the wind, but any information that you or Rurik have about the routes down to Erudition would be very helpful if you could share that with us. And of course, we'll do what we can to help you reestablish those connections.
Well, the routes that we know are, well, we try to keep them well patrolled, well lit, minimize the danger there as much as possible. The Underdark is not a safe place in any measure, but with the established tunnels collapsed by these winds, I would imagine it will be quite a dangerous venture, though if you dealt with these ants, I suppose maybe you're up to the task?
Well, we can hope so, at the very least. If there's anyone you know down in Erudition that you could point us toward when we get there, someone that might help us.
Yeah, they could probably give you, like, a contact that's like a trader. I don't know how much help that would be to you.
Well, anyone, if we need supplies or something when we get there, or
Okay.
someone to show us around the town, or
Yeah,
vouch for us if we need to be vouched for.
well, Reyes would have a contact, so I will put in my note to come up with someone.
Okay.
Who you can contact, but it'll be like a trader or a merchant.
That's
So
fine.
yeah. Yeah, and Valreyes can kind of give you someone to contact when you get there, if you want to.
That'd be great.
Unfortunately, I don't know how much more help I can be. I haven't lived down in Erudition since I was very young, and well, the only family I have down there is my old mother. I hope she's doing okay with these winds.
We can check on her for you if you like.
Yeah, he can give you his mother's name as well. I don't have that.
We're gonna be going that direction.
Yep. But he definitely conveys, like, if you can create maps of any routes down there, that would be greatly appreciated.
Ryan is pretty good at that kind of thing, aren't you?
I can make cartographer's tools.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm proficient in them.
I don't know if any of us
Actually, I think I am. I think if I use my magic item, I become proficient. So yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will check that to make sure.
Yeah.
That
I think we could work something out.
it says...
Well, if you can manage that and map out a couple new routes down that way, or even at least one, I think that Rurik and I can see you well compensated.
Great. We'd love to see if we can work something out.
So yeah, for the all-purpose tool, it says whatever form the tool takes, you are proficient with it.
That's
yeah.
awesome.
And
that's
it's any
really
type
good.
of artisan's tool. So, and I believe cartographer's tools is an artisan tool.
I don't know if it's artisan, but I
Is it
mean,
not?
I'll count it.
Yeah, we can look that up.
I'll look it up while you guys talk.
The other thing I wanted to ask about was what kind of permits or paperwork, if there's anything involved getting our friend's tavern set up. I assume we'd be going through you.
Yeah. Property's probably a different beast from like
Merchants
and
stuff.
trading.
Okay.
But I think that he would know where to point you, and there's probably like someone in Amberhearth who's a real estate agent,
Okay.
who you could deal with. But
Okay.
like the person who owned the tavern previously didn't really have any relatives or anything, and they're dead. So it
Yeah,
should be
but
a pretty
it's
simple
like
transfer.
We're just
Digging up
gonna
the
eminent domain this thing.
yeah, just
They-
digging up the deed somewhere.
They,
and,
they are. So we're good.
yeah,
Oh,
for
sweet.
artisans,
Okay,
we'll
cool.
do it.
Cool.
But yeah, that's all I wanted to talk to them about.
Well, it was nice to meet you, and I look forward to future council meetings with a group of you.
Can I also blanket insight check them during this conversation?
Yeah.
Just to get a read on their reaction to me. See if there's any recognition at all outside of just this is part
Yeah,
of the
go ahead.
Seekers,
They'd heard of you.
or reaction to like the fairy crystal or anything. Is that a natural one?
No.
Yep.
No. On the new
Oh.
dice, on the new table.
I know.
Yep.
Stable hates me.
Right.
Can't do it.
I mean, that's a total of 11, but still.
I mean, that's enough to get you something. Yeah, the eyes when when he kind of initially saw you, the eyes were probably drawn to the fairy crystal.
But in a
but didn't
I've
really-
seen that before, or
Yeah.
in a that's pretty.
Yeah, like probably a combination of those two. Like he's probably seen fairy crystal before, and also probably thought it was pretty. But not in like you didn't read anything deeper in it. There might be something deeper, but you didn't read anything deeper. Yeah, and like general reaction to you, didn't seem to recognize you, but was friendly.
Yeah.
If reserved.
Reserved, friendly, but not. Yeah.
Mhm.
Cool. Good to know.
Does anyone else have anyone they want to talk to at all?
Charm would just probably go back up to Rurik and just shoot the yeah. Not anything important. Just,
Okay. Just kind of toss the
Just
coal
kinda-
back and forth.
yeah. Kind of good around.
As they say.
Yep. Always good to have Charm around for some coal catch. Tosses the coal back and forth. You would
What was your
probably
dice game?
Clubstone.
Clubstone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Club goal.
the coal would just like shatter
Yeah.
and sit like that. Maybe I don't know how coal works.
We barely know how Clubstone works.
Embers, could you roll a perception check for me?
Mm-hmm. Do you want me to just, because I didn't ask this, do you want me to just give you my passive?
Sure, that works.
Passive perception is 16.
16. Okay. I think you do spot Lavinia
Mm-hmm.
kind of eyeing Torin a little bit, but also you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, probably you'd be the main two that she was looking at.
Mm-hmm.
Just when she's kind of off in the corner, kind of chatting with some of the other Imperial Wardens and stuff. And it looks like she also had a brief conversation with Lally, and then another brief conversation with Rurik. But she kind of gathered with her Imperial Wardens after that, and they were talking, and it looked like she kind of spared the two of you a couple glances.
Yeah. I think once I would catch that, I like wouldn't be able to stop looking back. It's like one of those things where it's like, don't look at what? Oh no, constantly.
So she would catch you looking back at her a couple times, and finally, she would stride over to the two of you and say, "Now I know the two of you already have a pretty good gig with the Silver Seekers, but I've got to ask. You look tough. Any interest in working with the Wardens?"
You know what? Actually, hang on.
Oh no.
Oh there. What's happening now?
Oh no. Our seat of the council.
Yeah.
Sullied.
Hang on.
I'm waiting for the Ember's zinger.
You know what? Actually, Miss Cherry Cheeks.
Her eyes narrow a little bit.
Torin and I, we're members of the Silver Seekers, and I didn't want to really bring it up at the council because we're new. We haven't get established. I haven't really even run this by the other members yet, but we're going to be doing some recruiting of our own soon. See, the Silver Seekers are an organization. Embers actually trips over her own tongue there, trying to deliver this super cool speech, but like she can't do that. Yeah, we're an organization who helps people. We help the Amberhearth just like we help Twin Towns and Port Horizon Shad. Pretty much wherever we go, that's what we do.
Torin chimes in and says, "Yeah!" in his big booming voice.
And so we're looking for people who feel the same.
She kind of steps up to you and looks up at you and says, "First of all, if you're going to use the Cherry Cheeks name, it's Warden Commander Cherry Cheeks. Second of all, that's exactly what we're here to do too."
I'm not here to trample on Warden business. You have your areas of expertise. We have ours. I don't think that there's going to be any overlap between us. We're not going to harass homeless people or break up tavern fights or handle petty thefts, things like that. That's can all still be you. But if anyone needs real help, the Silver Seekers will be here.
She shakes her head when you say harass homeless people, and she says, "We're not going to harass homeless people either. Where did you get that idea?" We might break up bar fights, that's true. We might deal with petty theft.
Mhm.
But that's not all we're here to do. We're here to help, same as it seems like you want to do.
How many? I'm in it now, I guess. That's interesting. How many wardens did you have before the ants attacked?
30?
Well, we were 4.
Yeah, she kind of she nods and says, "Yeah, and I really respect that and what you did here. It was impressive." Do you know how many people we evacuated?
I'm starting to learn as I return.
We got most of them out safe. Lost 10 wardens. All of them had families. Nice people. We lost a lot fewer citizens.
I salute you. Good work.
Yeah, she just lets that kind of hang for a minute. Gives you she does a little bit of an eye roll as she does it, but she salutes you too, and she says, or she salutes, gives you an actual salute and says, "Yeah, you too," and goes back to her people.
Yeah.
Yep. And Torin goes, "Oh."
Embers also does that, I think.
I wanted to talk so bad, but I feel like I was going to say the wrong things.
Why did you let me say all that?
It seems so much smarter than anything I would have said.
Oh, I think that was so stupid.
I don't think we got off on the right foot.
No. I meant all of it, though.
Yeah, he nods. I meant my yeah, too.
I think Embers just goes to back to Elwyn and
Yeah.
Ryan.
Torin will go with you. His
Yeah.
shoulders are kind of drooped, tail dragging a little bit.
Oh no.
Ryan just gives you guys like a look, like what happened.
Oh,
Like we were gone for 2 minutes.
We
What
should-
could have possibly happened?
Okay. Are you about ready to head back to the keep?
Sooner the better.
Yeah. All right. Let's make our excuses.
As the group of you are leaving, Lally just kind of waves at you and says, "I'm really excited to be working with all of you in an official capacity. Yeah.
As are we, Lolly.
This is gonna be so much fun, and the festival's gonna be amazing. I already have so many ideas.
Don't hesitate to call on us if you need help setting anything up.
Oh, I will. Believe me, I will."
Oh boy.
Yeah, and she, kind of waves at you and goes back to her conversation. Nadia catches up with you. It looks like she was, going around and she was probably talking to Emmeline for a little bit.
Schmoozing.
Yep. And she joins the group of you as you're leaving and says, I actually, now that I think about it, I recognize Emily. That woman invested in Thimblefoot early.
Wow.
Smart investor.
No wonder she's
Lots
so
of
rich.
money. I've seen her at charity dinners and things where my father and mother were, involved.
She goes back and forth from Raiden to here.
Sometimes. Probably not recently. I don't know. She looked kind of frail, but yeah.
I wonder who her successor's gonna be.
Weird that she didn't bring them.
Sounds like it hasn't been decided yet.
Oh, I suppose.
I reckon we ought to make a call on the family, get to know them.
Mhm.
Do you know anything about the family, Char?
Unfortunately, I haven't been invited to any social functions in that area.
But surely you know the hearsay
Do you want
about
to roll a history check?
the what's their butts?
I think she
Foxridge.
kind of
Foxridges?
minds her own business.
But I mean, if they're the richest, most important family in the town, there's got to be some common
Yeah,
knowledge.
and I mean, Charm, even if you haven't interacted with them a lot, you delivered honey to people all over town
Mhm.
and have good relationships with people all over town, and probably would have, even if you didn't go looking for stuff, would have
There would
heard.
just be just like common knowledge that everyone knows about the richest family in town.
Well, Charm's only been here 3 years, so
Still,
16. Sorry, did you hear that?
Yeah, I did. They've got generational family money, from basically being the only, having control of the only brewing company in town. So Foxridge ales and meads and things like that, kind of dominate this region. So that's where the generational family money comes. But then also, as mentioned, Emmeline has made kind of a fortune in smart investments, including but not limited to getting in with Thimblefoot very early. She's known for being kind of candid and savvy. You don't really know the names of her children and family. When people talk about the Foxridges, they talk about Emmeline. But you have heard that with the 16, I'll say you've heard that members of her family are already kind of vying for the succession spot, and trying to position themselves to get their hands on as much of her money as they can. People kind of describe her family members as wolves circling her when they talk about them.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah, so I haven't met anybody, but I understand they're pretty fierce.
well, if it might benefit us to have them as allies rather than enemies. So if we get in early and maybe meet the candidates for succession, and then maybe we might be able to influence the choice in some way to benefit the town. I mean, I'm willing to do that legwork. I know how to wine and dine with nobility, being nobility myself.
Nothing to contribute to this dialogue.
Fair.
I think I'm only making enemies today.
Well, I hope
You
if
hear Lally's voice in the back of your head. No, you're not. We're friends.
I think if the Foxridge family is as cutthroat as they say, we gotta be a little careful of them, because they might have a lot of influence.
Did I hear anything on like the political side for their family?
Oh, about like their feelings towards the Empire and whatnot?
Yeah, just general relations, or like if they were like how they felt about like the war between the Empire and
Well, I think I
States.
mentioned earlier that
with the old, I don't remember his name.
Mr.
Lord
Rath.
Mr.
Yeah, Mr.
Yep.
Leth, that they sided with his notion.
And yeah, like when the Empire was starting to come in, it was Emmeline's idea to do the whole nobody in town pays for anything that is like
Right.
essential, and half of the reasoning for that was to like save the town on paying taxes back to the Empire.
Yeah.
So I think that's really all you have as far as
That's
insight into her feelings towards the Empire go.
Okay.
But I mean, Charm would know, like, the family itself, like, Emmeline has her money and her things, but the family itself is also known for having successful ventures throughout Ardalier as well. So,
So I wouldn't have met any of her or her family members at any functions.
if you did, you wouldn't have remembered it, I
Okay,
think.
got it.
Like, you would have been more focused on meeting members of nobility and
Yeah.
royalty,
Instead of
as opposed to just
mercantile
wealthy people.
Yeah, families and okay. That makes sense. Okay.
All right, and the group of you head back to your keep. Nadia, I think, probably goes out into town with, whatever real estate person she's put into contact with to try and purchase a plot of land. And by the time that she comes back to the keep, she's whistling, and she's got like a carpenter's tool belt around her waist. And you can see that she's got like all the signs of someone who's been like working on reconstructing a building. And she says, well, I just started the process for putting up Harmony's Wild Magic's Amberhearth branch. So things are looking up. The group of you better come by, be my first customers.
Well, we wouldn't have it any other
I
way.
think we'll be up in the next week or so.
That's really exciting.
Got a good deal on a good building that's mostly rebuilt already. Making some modifications myself, and she taps the tool belt, which she then takes off and drops into the pouch at her side, which is where she put the easel and all the charts and everything.
That must have been amazing to watch it pack up.
Yeah.
It's like blonk.
One of my concepts for Nadia is that she has everything she could possibly need for any situation in her pouch.
That's amazing.
Yeah, Harmony helped her pack it, for sure.
Mhm.
Oh, Kay, can you roll me a d6?
Yes.
During her
Although-
presentation, she would have given a reason why her the business's owner couldn't be here today.
3.
3, okay. Yeah, so the business's owner, Harmony, she wanted to be here, but, she said something about my other aunt, Aunt Mara, needing a hand liberating some treasure from a sunken trip at the bottom of the dividing depths. Sounded important. And that was the excuse she gave.
Passable.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I guess I want to tell Malt the good news. We kind of haven't really had to check in with Malt in a while.
Malt? Okay, yeah.
That's right. How have you been doing?
I think he probably settled into the room in the keep that has like the dollhouse
Yeah.
and like the,
Oh, yeah,
the
yeah.
grassy area. He probably claimed that entire house for himself.
Mhm.
Yeah, and you find him taking a nap in there when you come
Yeah.
back.
Hey, Malt.
Mm-hmm. Oh, hello.
Hey, we found you a tavern.
Mm-hmm. His eyes go wide and brightens up.
Yeah, the old owner died, so no one owns it. So it could be yours, or could be
Nora's.
Nora. Thank you.
Well, I'm supposed to do some scouting around the town and see if I think it's a good place to start a business, but with all this rebuilding, Things seem promising.
Ember's just thinking, like, when were you planning to start that?
You've been here for a few
Yeah.
weeks already.
Yeah.
He's just been sleeping
Yeah,
in.
he's been sleeping and eating a lot of Dot's cooking. And
Lazy
I was gonna
boy.
get around to it shortly.
I'm good.
Well, I mean, I've been helping personally rebuild. But it seems like, I mean, I know powers, and this is good power.
Mm. Well, maybe I can come check it out with you tomorrow.
Okay. Sounds good.
Mm. Yeah, and he kind of hums happily at that for the next few minutes, and yeah, you can tell that he's looking forward to potentially having Nora come up here. Yeah, he talks to you a little bit about like what it would take to send a messenger Drake down to get Nora, but and then he says, I wonder if she'll bring Molo with her. Tess is fine, but Molo.
We did
Moth,
promise.
I feel like she can't afford to leave Molo behind in charge of the original establishment.
Yeah, he just nods in agreement. And that might be a good place to end the episode, unless anyone else has anything last minute. We're right at time, so
I'm dying to know what's in that basement thing. But
Oh,
I don't know
should we
anything
do-
about it.
we can do it in the downtime. It's
Okay,
fine.
yeah.
Yeah.
Alright.
It won't take too long, I don't think.
I'm good.
Also,
Um,
Embers has not told any of us
I
about it.
know.
yet.
Secret basement room.
Secret basement.
Yeah, we can do it next week.
Alright,
We can maybe open with that next week.
sure.
All right. Thank you to anyone who came to watch. Thank you to you all for playing, as always. We'll be back with more of this Monday, 7 p.m. Pacific time. Hope to see you then. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.